First off, I would just like to welcome everybody here. It's really great to be able to do something like this for Daniel and his family and friends. So I'm honored to be able to offer this to you all. And my name is Brian Schorn, and I am the gallerist at Studio Rubedo in Alpena, Michigan, a very tiny town in the northeast part of the Lower Peninsula on Lake Huron. And I think I'll just quickly tell the story of how I met Daniel, because it's really quite amazing how this happened. But 1 year ago, just about to the day, I met Daniel at an art gallery in Traverse City, which is on the other side of the state from where I am. It's considered the cool city in the upper part of the state here. And Daniel had a painting of his called The Art of Coming Undone. Has anybody seen that painting of Daniel's? It's really awesome. And I was invited to be in an exhibition, because I'm an artist myself, at the particular gallery called Michigan Artist Gallery in Traverse City. And the director there, Sue Ann Round, happened to come across Daniel's work and invited him to be the person whom the exhibition would be inspired by. So what happened was Sue Ann invited all of the artists that she represented and asked them to interpret Daniel's painting, The Art of Coming Undone, in whatever way they saw fit. And it just so happens that after I did some research with or on Daniel, I've learned a lot and was incredibly fascinated and really emotionally engaged in his work. And I knew that this guy was really doing the real thing. So when the opening started, Daniel was there. I mean, it was amazing. He came from New York and spent the evening in a little town in Michigan, and we had an awesome time. My work was hanging almost directly next to his, so I felt very honored. And we had some time to talk, and I was just starting my gallery, and I said, I want you to be the main guy here at my place. And he said, absolutely, it'll be done. A year later, here we are. So it's pretty amazing that a guy like me happens to meet somebody like Daniel, and out of the generosity and kindness of him to allow this exhibition to happen. So I'm really, really grateful to Daniel for just being such an awesome guy, and that includes being an awesome artist. And so let's get started.
I liked you. I really liked you.
Well, I really liked you too.
I wanted to help you, and I wanted to help your gallery.
Yeah, and you are.
I told you that. Yeah,
you did, and you know, your sincerity really rang true to me. I really felt it. So I'm really grateful, and I feel, yeah, I feel like we have a special connection now. So thank you. So what I'm going to do is ask a few questions to Daniel, and some of you may have heard some of these things that he may say, some have not. I'm hoping that there will be some people who don't know Daniel out there that will learn a little bit about him as well. So we will sort of gauge the time, and I want to leave some time so that people can say hi and ask some questions as well. So I'll be mindful of the time. And so if we have to cut some of the questions short, depends upon how long and in how much detail Daniel would like to answer the questions. But we'll leave a little bit of time at the end for readings and question and answers. So the first question to you, Daniel, is, and actually this is a direct relationship to that Art of Coming Undone, of which the artwork I created out of that piece was truly amazing for me to do because of the story behind the painting. So the life event that you experienced, along with several others during your lifetime, including breaking your neck while you were surfing, and also the change of plans that you had when you were prevented from boarding the one of the planes that crashed during 9/11. And these are pretty serious, major life-altering experiences. How did those experiences affect or enter into your artwork?
Well, it obviously changed me in the sense that I started looking at things differently, and the things that I wanted to paint and draw. I was very into a hardcore, edgy, sharp topic. My lines were very sharp, pre 9/11. And after that happened, it caused me to, I changed. I became calmer, and my work reflected that. The line became softer. The words became different. And it just opened up a whole new sort of avenue of ideas and thoughts and things that I wanted to experience and paint.
Excellent. I'll tell you, they communicate incredibly well and with incredible impact and power.
Thanks.
So thank you for sharing that. And here's the second question. And we had a little exchange about this the other day. So I thought I would develop a sense of contrast in this question by using my own experience as an artist as a way to develop that contrast to lead up to the question. So as a young artist, for me, being a Midwesterner, having grown up and been born and raised in Michigan, in the 1980s, I was in school studying art. And so I hadn't traveled much. I had never been to New York City. And I was limited to seeing contemporary art through magazines like Art Forum and Art in America, Art News, Flash Art, and so forth. And, you know, it was kind of like a dream world, really, to imagine art at that level from my own experiences. But then I got the opportunity to visit New York and see a lot of the big galleries and the art that was happening in the 80s. Like I remember George Baseless was at Mary Boone Gallery, and you know, going to Leo Castelli for the first time. That this was like a major thing for me as an artist. And so coming from me, a Midwesterner who never had been to New York before or experienced the New York art world before in person, having grown up in New York City, what was it like for you as an artist being fully immersed in the booming 1980s New York art scene?
Well, first of all, the artists that you mentioned are all my heroes.
Oh, yes. Those guys from the 80s were mine too.
My heroes. So some of my heroes.
Yeah.
You know, it was an environment that was full of excitement and gritty in New York City then. And every day was spent preparing to go out in the evening. So my experiences were going to clubs like Studio 54 and Xenons. And, so a lot of those experiences in those clubs affected me, affected my work. And I was very young, and I should have probably been in those clubs, but I was. And I met people like Andy Warhol and Larry Rivers, Antonio Lopez, who was a major influence in my work and in my life. And it just was overwhelmingly invigorating to be in that environment. But it was because I was in that environment, I didn't know anything other than that environment. So I couldn't compare it to anything else. I just knew that particular environment. And I just, like a sponge, was absorbing all this information, all this stimuli daily. And here we are now.
Were you actually making art at that time?
I was drawing a lot, doing graffiti.
Okay.
I was in a lot of those artist studios, observing most of the time. I didn't really want to be a painter at that time. I was just someone that was in a studio hanging out with artists and watching how they conducted business and how they transact, how they went about making their work, and that had a huge influence on me, profoundly. I mean, it was just incredible to be in this world and to have fun in it. It was really a fun experience. Yeah.
Did you have the opportunity to meet Jean-Michel Basquiat?
I knew him. We had come in contact a number of times, but then I left for Boston to go to school. So I knew him before he was famous. He used to be someone who used to hang out in Washington Square Park. When I like say around 81, 82, he started getting some notoriety. You know, but I would see him and we would have conversations, but I don't own any of his work. I have a book that's signed by him.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, his paintings sell for hundreds of millions now.
I know. Wish I had gotten one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I will take the moment to point out that, as you can see in the background, I've strategically placed the camera so that you can see one of the works over here, which is You Can't Control Me with Antidepressants. And over here, this is For the Birds, which was sold just before the opening. So this is the first piece to sell from the show that happens to be in the gallery at the moment. Other pieces are from the Boxer series,
Yeah.
and a reference to the discotheque days. This one is sweet that I think you recently finished, is Put Down Your Jihad and Do the Hustle.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
So let's move on to question 3. So the works that are in this exhibition here at Studio Rubedo use a variety of unusual materials that, for the most part, are not going to be considered art materials per se, like nail polish, common house paint, old notebook covers, and corrugated cardboard. And how did you arrive at using these types of unusual materials?
I don't know. They always appeal to me. Throwaways are sort of gems for me. They're kind of like crackerjack prizes. So I used to paint on wood, discarded pieces of wood. I used to search the streets for things like that, and I just really liked it. But the nail polish, it was complete accident. I needed something that was transparent and that I could scratch on. And that was it. And I started using that. I don't really use it much now because I was told that the fumes could kill me, so I stopped. So, but house paint, I don't know. It's just something. Larry Rivers used it, and I think I was influenced by that. I use oil sticks a lot too, the big ones. So you can get a really interesting line with them. It's not straight, it's not even, it's uneven, it's messy, and I like that. But they're, using product like that is just. I mean, I'm an outsider artist. I'm put in that category. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I use those items, and then I do use things that a lot of the outside artists use, like Jimmy Lee Sudduth and Most Tolliver. They're using found objects and house paint, but not nail polish. I'm the only nail polish artist.
Well, it's a really wonderful material, and seeing it in person, the pieces are so incredible.
Thank you.
In person, the
ones I sent for this show, that I made for this show, nail polish on discarded notebook covers.
I love the nail polish. It builds up. Some of them are built up, an 1/8 of an inch or more thick, and so they have this sort of rounded that sort of has this bubbly sort of effect, and it's all shiny and it's beautiful. I love it. Yeah, very, very cool.
Smell in the gallery.
Actually, I'm Tired of Fighting is the one that I was looking at just earlier. That
Okay.
one really has a good buildup of it, and it's just so, so awesome.
But it can really project an intense scent.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
It's flammable.
Yeah,
You can inhale it like sniffing glue.
right. All right, well, we're doing pretty well so far. Let's see. How are you doing, Daniel?
Look at this. I see so many interesting people here.
Oh, good. You're getting a chance to check them out. You want to answer maybe one more question or so and have some more time to meet with people?
I'd love to.
Okay. So I found out by learning more about you, about the Road King documentary film that was made about you some years ago. And what was fascinating was seeing you in one of the clips where you are on a beach somewhere around the city, and you are furiously painting with this very aggressive, gestural, full body movements, and you're using your hands and your fingers and your heels of your palms, and you're really, really into it. So there's a whole kind of emotionally packaged presentation of the way the process you work in comes to be. And so I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit about the process you use when you're making a painting.
Well, that documentary, we shot that part that you're referring to was shot in Rockaway, New York City. It's a beach in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was using an easel, I believe.
Yep.
I never paint with an easel. It was very uncomfortable for me to paint with that. And there was a whole you didn't see the crowd, but there was a big crowd around watching what I was doing. So it was kind of an unusual setting, but it was an incredible day that day. I remember that day being great. But I usually, when I'm painting, I usually work with 1 to 3 canvases nailed to a wall, making 3 paintings simultaneously. Predominantly working on one, and then I go to another one, and then I come back to that one, and then I go to the other one. So it's kind of like the way I'm doing it is like boxing. And that's why there's a lot of reference to boxing in my work. I kind of regard myself as a painter similar to a boxer. I'm kind of moving forward, jabbing, push and pull. I'm doing that with the paint constantly. And it's kind of intense. It's physical when I'm doing it. Very, very physical. And I get lost in it when I'm doing it. I mean, I lose sense of time. I lose sense of everything when I'm painting. That's what I see in that documentary.
That physicality is just so present. Even in the works you have here in the gallery, there is this emotionally packed process of just making a line that is present so powerfully. And so you have really done an amazing job of really allowing that emotional power to be encapsulated in the I see the tab on the screen here, so I'm a little bit distracted. Now I forgot what I was going to say, so I apologize. But we had a question from someone, and let me see what's going on here. I think somebody called me on my phone, and
A lot of suspicious people on here.
Sort of messed it up. So there was a question that somebody wrote in the chat box, which, if I remember correctly, had to do with, do you get any of your content for your paintings from dreams?
Not paintings, but drawings.
Right.
A lot of the drawings. There are at times dreams that are in the drawings. Parts of dreams. My paintings and my drawings, I draw in journals. I have these really large, large journals that I keep. I have about 30 years of them. So they're the blueprints for my paintings. So they're either paintings or they're drawings. The last couple of years, they're drawings. But, and it's a very different process. I draw every day. So I just actually had a dream last night that part of the dream will be in this drawing.
Whoever is making a bunch of noise, if you could just put yourself on mute, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, that's really, really interesting. And what would you consider the works here? A combination of painting and drawing, or are they part of the sort of drawing process, the daily kind of getting down of the ideas? How would you categorize these works?
Those were paintings. Those were small paintings that I made.
Small paintings. Okay.
Yeah, they were just straight out small paintings that I had the composition notebooks, and so I was just like, what am I going to do? I can't make really big paintings. It would have been difficult for me to send you giant canvases.
Right.
So I had to come up with an idea to send you something that was smaller. So I decided to make the paintings on the composition notebooks.
Okay. I see.
An ordinary, everyday material that we all use.
Yeah, the materials are just fabulous. So I really am just incredibly grateful for you allowing this to happen here. I think we're at a point now, it's almost a little 25 after or so. So I have one more question, which I can ask, or we can move right into just some questions from the audience. How would you like to?
We love your questions.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Yeah,
One
great question.
Okay, one more.
Okay.
One more. This is an interesting one and may include some of your friends out there.
Mm.
So, Past Sense Impressions and Excited Utterances is the title of your exhibition. And when you floated this by me, I absolutely loved it because I thought it actually fit the work perfectly. But then you went on to describe where you got it and where you learned about it and what it meant. And the title, in regards to its sort of strange, heavy verbiage, is what I also really liked about it. So how did you come up with this verbiage for the title?
Well, present sense impression and excited utterance are two exceptions to a hearsay rule. There are 23 of them. And I have always felt that particularly these paintings that I made for this show, there's a spontaneity to them. You know, I wasn't really thinking. I was just putting that thought, those words down on that composition notebook. Part of the present sense impression rule is that there has to be spontaneity in the. It's somewhat difficult to explain, but it's a person who's observing something, and then it's spontaneous. They're seeing it, and because of the spontaneity, it comes into evidence because it's reliable. So these paintings have spontaneity to them, and the excited utterance part of it is similar. It's an utterance. It's something that's spoken. So the words are the utterances in this part of the painting.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Came together. So I was just like, well, all right, let's do excited utterances and present sense impression paintings.
Perfect. And do you have any lawyer friends out there?
There's one with a red hat on right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Tony Hernandez.
Okay. Actually, now I can see a number of other questions that people have written in the chat box. We have 10 minutes now, actually. We have the 10-minute warning. So we have 10 minutes to use up. And so I'll just ask you guys, would you like to go through these questions, or would you like to simply say hi, or
Hi, Daniel.
questions?
Who spoke? Who just spoke?
Yeah.
Me, Scott.
Scott. Hello, Scott.
How you doing, my friend?
How are
Hey, Dan.
Yeah, why don't people go ahead and say
David.
hi?
you? Okay.
Hi,
Hello.
Daniel.
Hello.
I think it's more important to hear the people's questions. This is
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Daniel's exhibit. We can always call him tomorrow and say
Okay.
hi.
All
I
right.
think it's super important, don't you guys?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, let's get the questions. I think that's really great.
Okay,
I
good.
have a question. I have a question for Daniel, if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, I've known Daniel since we were 12 years old in elementary school, and Danny was always very artistic. But in your earlier work, you relied heavily on spirituality and religion, and you even did a lot of work with Latin Santeria and the gods. And now you've transitioned into other pieces. Was there a transition in your life there that got you away from the spirituality type of themes?
Well, the 9/11 situation did. I mean, it changed me drastically. But that reference, I mean, it's my roots. You know, the Santeria, super important to me. That's what, you know, those are my roots. I'm an adopted Cuban. I mean, that's where I come from, and I still make reference to it. There's some Congo references in my work and symbols, but the 9/11 experience did change me. But I still love all that religious Santeria reference. So
Santeria with Ochun and Yemaya and all those gods. I love that. I love that work. And good to see you again, Danny.
Good to see you, Tony.
Yeah, thank you for that question. That was an excellent question. So I'll go and just select a question here from someone. This is a good and a common question it's always good to ask artists. So when you're painting, do you come to the painting with a preconception? I'm sort of paraphrasing this. Or do you just move more intuitively and just start painting?
It varies. I mean, I'm a junkie for experiences. An everyday experience is a painting, potential painting. So I'm always looking for something that's going to affect me so that it's going to appear in a drawing or a painting. However, I mean, you know, there's sometimes random thoughts that come into my head that I want to get down, like this present Sense Impression series. Those were random. Those were very random ideas and thoughts.
Great.
But to paint, like if I have an idea, let's say I want to paint a series. I have a series that I want to start working on saints and sinners. That's going to be a series of paintings I'm going to make. So it's an idea that I have. So I'm very focused on painting sinners and painting saints, and that's the idea of this particular series that I'm going to be making.
Yeah, great. Oh, that provides a lot of information there. Let's see. We have another question from Laura, who asks, is there a subject that you are not willing to paint?
Whoa.
Ooh, good question.
Laura. Let's see, Laura. Okay. Is there a subject that I'm not willing to paint?
Correct.
I had my video off. I'm sorry, because I'm in bed.
Okay. No. Everything's in play.
Good answer.
That's a nice, short, concise answer, so that'll allow us to move on. What is the most important, this is by Russ, what is the most important artistic advice you have been given ever?
Well, Antonio Lopez had a profound effect on me in my life. And he taught me the business of art. Art is just not going into a studio and painting and, you know, oh, make a painting and then maybe you get a show. He taught me how you take a telephone call and you make a date to meet someone to sell that painting and to have dinner, and then maybe you get a commission, and it's a whole process, you know. And so that and the process of he used to go out every day at 2:00 to walk the streets And he would, to see things, to see people, to see what they were wearing, to hear music, to hear what they were speaking. And that went into his work. And he taught me that. That's something that I learned. And he also told me, well, Andy told me never to give a painting away, because if you do, it's not worth anything. So,
What awesome advice.
yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's potent. We have a lot of questions here. These are all really good too. So thank you everyone for sending in these questions. We have about 5 minutes left. So
I want to hear a question from Annalise McDonald. I want her to stand up and show what she's wearing.
actually, Annalise got in at the very last minute, so I think we'll hear from her.
Did. I've got my
Yeah.
Oh,
shirt.
There you
yay.
go.
Yay. And then also, Daniel,
Yeah,
I have one of your pieces, you know, the zig and zag.
that's right. You do.
And I
Yeah.
wanted to know, what's the inspiration behind zig and zag? Do you remember?
I have ADHD. So I zigged when I should have zagged. That's really the answer to it. My whole life has been zigging and zagging. So that's a self-portrait.
I love it.
Thank you.
And you know, my daughter loves it. She nicked it. So
I have to make more of those.
yeah, it's a good one.
Told you I would. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely will.
That actually, you know, that's I think what really just had the big impact on me is exactly the zigzag. You have a way of connecting your own life experiences to then represent them in the most common, ordinary way, but they're just so loaded with a kind of emotional package that really connects on a totally universal level. I really appreciate that about what you do. Here's a question from Tony. Have you always drawn birds?
Yeah, I have. Early on, they were a major focal point of the work. Whether they're the major focal point or they're collaged into the work and painted over, you can still see them. But birds are a very big part. Flight. The whole concept of flight is what I'm interested in. Ballerinas, birds, and boxers. Those are the three B's. Those are the three.
And bovine.
So,
Exactly.
Uh,
Because you have some of your
cows.
your cows, your bovines.
My
So you get all your B factor. This is like I know why, and I think it's fabulous. I think this is a great question that somebody asked about all that, and everything is so beautifully explained because you're such an amazing, wonderful artist, and you let yourself go. And that is the biggest thing I think that everybody loves about your work, is that you're free and that you allow yourself to feel and do and just friggin' let go.
A free freak.
You're beautiful. You're a beautiful man.
I'm free or I'm a freak.
No, you're
Well,
free.
I'm not going to say it.
No, you're free. You're a beautiful artist.
Thank you.
yeah, that is so true. And
Deputy's my sister.
okay, here's a question from Amy.
Okay.
When you are painting skulls, what are you thinking about?
When I'm painting, I didn't hear that.
When you are painting skulls, what are you thinking about?
I'm thinking of my family, all my dead.
Woo!
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. All the people that deceased me.
Hmm.
Family of ghosts.